A Rams cornerback opens up about the possibility of the Rams trading Jalen Ramsey and his contract status moving forward. Also, which Rams UDFAs have a shot to make this team, and a very bold prediction for a Rams rookie. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet joined the party, trying to get to 18,000 subscribers, so hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you really want to support the channel and the pod, hit the like button. To the podcast listeners, write a review or read on the show. Really appreciate you guys. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Chat Sports, Dodgers Nation, Locked On. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. And we've got a jam-packed show. Today we're talking UDFAs that have a chance to make this team. Outside chance, but a chance. Ones that are intriguing. Also, a very bold prediction about a Rams rookie. But we're going to start today with some secondary talk. We're going to talk about Quentin Lake, who did an interview with NFL Network, and he touched on his future with the Rams, his contract status moving forward past next season. Also, he talked about Jalen Ramsey. So Lake was asked about Jalen Ramsey, and it's some interesting comments about it. He said, we would be a tough team, especially a tough defense to beat. He knows the system. He's familiar with the organization. Jaylen is a God-given talent. Not only is he smart, he's been in the league a long time, playing at such a high level. Anytime that you bring a guy like that back, he's only going to add value. He's a star, and anybody that you ask, he's such an amazing player. So that is very good that a guy that actually saw him, right? I mean, Lake was a rookie in 2022, but he did see him that year. Lake played just 9 games. He was injured that year, played just 63 snaps. So it's not like they were on the field a lot together, but he was in that locker room, but he was on that sideline, but he did see the impact that he had on the field during games, in the practice sessions, in the locker, and he would not be saying things like that if he did not feel like he wouldn't be additive or help this team. He would say that he's basically a Hall of Famer. I mean, this is what Lake said about him. He said, I truly believe he'll be a Hall of Famer one day too, just because of not only what he's done on the field, but you look at how consistent he's done it year in and year out. I've seen the rumors. I've heard the rumors. I don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but I hope anytime you've got a guy like that can add value to your team, especially the guys we already have, that's huge. Hopefully things shake out. Whatever may happen, I know guys are trying to pull strings and stuff like that, but we'll see, hopefully in a couple of weeks or whenever that happens. So on Friday's show, every listeners will know we talked about the update from Cameron Wolf, where he said nothing is imminent about a trade for Jalen Ramsey to the Rams quite yet, but he did say that could change once the calendar goes to June 1st, when the dead cap on Miami goes down significantly. You're not going to see a trade before that, but you could see a trade after that because of how significant that is. And if the Rams do get Jalen Ramsey, you could use him as an outside corner. If he plays on the outside, you could see less snaps from Mikella Witherspoon and Darius Williams, but you could also put him back into the slot, and then Lake could go back to the traditional safety position that he was playing for a good portion of his career. But look, it's just about adding a playmaker. It's about adding someone that has an impact player type of ceiling, and that's what Jalen Ramsey is. And I know that I've read the comments, and trust me, I read all your comments, all the stuff, guys. Just know I read every single one of them, and I know that it's a little mixed. I mean, some of you don't want him back, some of you really want him back. It's kind of the most polarizing topic in Rams land these days. And I understand that because, I mean, his production hasn't looked elite last couple of seasons. But the question I have is he better than a lot of the guys that are in that group right now? Would he upgrade that group? And I think the answer is certainly yes. It's not like there's a lot of high-end, all-pro level talent in the Rams secondary right now. Yes, they did make it pretty far without having elite corners, and that's understandable. But if you have the position and the ability and the luxury to upgrade a position because you've already did that elsewhere, then it becomes the top of the list, right? I mean, it becomes the top of the list, right? I mean, if you remodel your house, right, you're going to start with the living room, then the bedroom, then the kitchen, right? I mean, things become more of a priority once you get something else done. And the truth is, you already remodeled that master bedroom with Devonte Adams, right? Now it's time to go out there and try to upgrade the secondary spot. And look, I've said on this show before that you're not in a great position to add if you don't have a great foundation, right? It's like having a Porsche, you don't have a functioning toilet. But the truth is, the Rams' house is in order, and they only have a couple of tweaks that they really truly need to make heading into the season to give themselves the best chance to go back and win the Super Bowl. And adding Ramsey at a guy that could only be here for 1 year, it could make a lot of sense, and I think it does make a lot of sense. And I'm not going to flip-flop on this one. I'm going to be firm in my stance. I think that they should go out there and trade for Jalen Ramsey. I truly believe that. Now, Lake also did talk about his contract status, which I want to throw in there because Lake really has emerged. I mean, he's really become a playmaker for the Rams last couple of seasons. He missed, like we talked about, a large amount of that rookie season due to that injury, but he's become the signal caller for Chris Shula's defense, and that is very telling about how they feel about him and about his growth as a player. And also, he's become extremely durable. He played every single snap last season outside of Week 18. So that was when the Rams were resting their starters. So the durability is there. They've really grown to lean on him as a leader, as someone who understands the defense, as someone that is athletic, as someone that can go out there and make big plays. And he talked about his future with the Rams, and he said, as a player, you always wish something is going to shake out. The thing for me is, and this is something my dad always told me, your play on the field in between the white lines will take care of everything else outside. So that's all I'm focused on right now. Obviously, we have a good team. There's a lot of things that can happen. I'm just hoping that I make this the best year. Had a lot of progression going from year 2 to year 3, and that's the same thing that I want to do from year 3 to year 4. Make this my best year. Make sure I'm handling the business on the field so everything else takes care of itself outside of that. So, translation, my takeaway there is that's a really nice way of saying, yeah, we're not deep into contract negotiations. Yeah, those contract negotiations really have not started. And the truth of the matter is, though, that's the right mindset, is to go out there, ball out, and the money will come. Everything will take care of itself when you focus on the main thing. Keep the main thing, and you will get paid. Now, the Rams could get a deal done with Quentin Lake at any point from now until next March. That is when he's set to become a free agent, and that would protect the Rams from seeing what Quentin Lake could go and get in the open market, and you keep him with the Rams for at least an additional season. But if he does want to go test those free agent waters, then he has the right to do that, and I think you're the Rams, you're in a good position either way, because either he plays really well this season and he produces for you that helps you win games, hopefully a Super Bowl, or he gets paid, or you kind of keep him, because I think that he wants to be a Ram. I mean, I've seen him at a lot of the Rams events, representing the Rams charity events and different events. He's from UCLA, right? He's a UCLA Bruin, and I think that he's someone that wants to make his career here, make his legacy here. He's happy here. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him get a deal done with the Rams, especially if he continues to emerge. I think the thing that really stood out from what he told the NFL Network was that he's made these leaps year in and year out, And that's certainly what you want to see from this season, because you look at his PFF grades, they don't blow your mind. I mean, he's overall grade 93rd at 171 for safety, 62.9 overall grade. His pass rush grade, 63.8, is 32. His run defense grade is 79.3. Those are all really solid-ish, right? Average to above average. But what could, I think, get him that deal ultimately is improving his coverage grade, because his coverage grade, 55.6, 117th at 171. I think he improves in that area, and you see some bigger plays. I think you see him in a spot to get himself a nice deal. Last year, no interceptions, 11 total pressures. So, yeah, I love Quentin Lake. I love him as a player. I think he's a great dude, too, and I want to see him have a long-term career with the Rams, but I think that's largely predicated on his production this season. But coming up next, we are talking about a bold prediction that an NFL expert made on Rams rookie Terrance Ferguson, and also some UDFAs that you need to know about that could make a push for this roster. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And a reminder that today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. And my favorite things about Monarch Money is you got all these really cool insights. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, going crazy on Uber Eats. Now I budget smarter and save more. Yes, I'm eating a lot less California burritos and carne asada burritos, but I am saving money. And you get a lot of convenience too. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And you can collaborate with your partner. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared or personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to give a shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. You guys are what make this go. The Ramley out there. We've got a lot of new viewers recently, a lot of new listeners, subscribers. And just want to say that you should join that Everyday Listeners Club, because all you have to do is watch or listen to the latest episode of Locked On Rams, and then you won't miss a thing about your favorite football team that's going to win the Super Bowl next year. So definitely join the Everyday Listeners Club. But okay, here in our second segment, we're going to talk about a rookie that I was already extremely excited about, but now I just want to run through a brick wall because ESPN's Ben Solak, he's predicting that Terrance Ferguson is going to have an impact and supplant Tyler Higgbee on the Rams depth chart in year one. He writes, Rams rookie tight end Terrance Ferguson will supplant Tyler Higgbee as the starter by week 5 and end the season as the second best target in LA behind Puka Nacua and ahead of Devonte Adams. Call it 63 catches, 821 yards, and 6 scores. That is a high prediction for sure when you consider that Terrance Ferguson has 1,537 total yards and 16 touchdowns in his 53 games at Oregon. But they wanted him for a reason. There's a reason why the Rams have been after a tight end, whether it be Dalton Kincaid or Brock Bowers or Colston Loveland. This is the position that they were looking to really change as far as having more 12 personnel, having a flex tight end that can move the chains and give you a dynamic threat. Ferguson has the potential to do that. And you look at the fact that he led college football last year yards after the catch at almost 10 yards, had the fastest 40 time, is athletic. I certainly think they're going to feature him. And for Higgbee, he has never had a season like the one that Solak's predicting. So if that's the case, then you're truly seeing a change in the way that the Rams use that position and the way they utilize it. I mean, you've seen Higgbee have some big moments, and he's really the best tight end in Rams history. Well, the best season he had was 620 total yards, receiving on 72 receptions with 3 touchdowns. And that season, yes, Stafford did play just 9 games. The Rams won just 5 games, but that was his peak year. So if you can get that type of anything work really close to that type of production from Ferguson in year 1, you have to feel really good about that pick. And I think it's extremely telling that the Rams, they were willing to consider him at 26, and they got him at 46, 20 picks later, and they got a first-round pick to boot, right? They were able to get a first-round pick in the trade from the Atlanta Falcons when they traded up to get Pierce. So this would be really big time. Now, the only thing I don't love about the prediction, I'll admit, is what it says about Devonte Adams. Because if he gets 63 catches and 821 yards, and he's the Rams' second best target, that says that Devonte Adams did not have a 1,000-yard season. And the truth of the matter is Devonte Adams rolls out of bed and gets a 1,000-yard season. So I think it'd be fun if he was their third best target. I'd be willing to sign off on that, but I don't want to sign off on him being the Rams' second best target, right? Because I want multiple 1,000-yard seasons, one from Puka Nacua, one from Devonte Adams, and then you mix in Terrance Ferguson, and I'll take the 6 touchdowns, and I'll take 821 yards, and I'm glad that he's really high on him, but let's be honest here. Devonte Adams is supposed to be that guy for this team that's going to have a big-time impact, and I certainly do think that he is. I think that he's re-energized, he's rejuvenated. I think the way the Rams are going to use him on the outside, and he's going to be able to make plays and move the chains and be able to just get in and out of breaks and get open. I mean, having a guy that can just beat your defender like Devonte Adams, and you just get it anywhere near zip code, and he can use those strong hands to make a play, that's going to be what they're going to do. And let's be honest, too. I mean, Devonte Adams didn't come here to get less than 1,000 yards receiving. So if you have Devonte Adams on your team, you got to feed the beast, right? And you got to make him happy. And if Terrance Ferguson, even though he did have a breakout rookie season, and you would love to see those numbers for sure, that would probably not bode well for the overall success for the Rams, just because your receivers need to be happy. And Devonte Adams getting less than 1,000 yards, if he's fully healthy and playing every single game, does not tell me that he would be too thrilled about that. But still, it is extremely, extremely encouraging to hear this. I love to see this. I love the fact that there's more analysts and people on board with the Terrance Ferguson pick. And look, it's going to be a pick that we're going to look back in a couple of years and say, wow, did the Rams do it again? Because last year they did it in a big way. They hit a grand slam with Jared Verse. Jared Verse is already one of the best defensive players really in the NFL. I mean, PFF, they have Jared Verse as the 8th best edge rusher in the sport in year 2. This is what PFF had to say about Jared Verse entering the 2025 season. Verse established himself as one of the NFL's premier pass rushers en route to Defensive Rookie of the Year honors, finishing 4th in total pressures with 77 and 6th in pass rush win rate at 19.6%. He also defended the run at a high level, earning an 81 PFF run defense grade. Verse continued his strong play into the postseason, recording 12 pressures and 2 sacks across the Rams' 2 playoff games. So Verse, really, the thing that you want to look for him early on the season is, did he improve the missed tackles? Because that was really the only kind of pimple on a model. The pimple on the model, the supermodel at the beginning of the season was those missed tackles. And that leads to missed opportunities for sacks. So less missed tackles equals more sacks, equals even higher rankings and bigger and better grades for all of this stuff. So he got better as the season got along, and he got more comfortable out there. The discipline was better, especially when he was able to get into the backfield. And we saw that against the Eagles. I mean, he was really great in the Rams' last game of the season. So I think we're going to see that carry on to the offseason, carry on to training camp, and carry on to the 2025 season. So it just goes to show. I mean, the Rams have the Midas touch. And it also goes to show that someone like Jared Verse had 4.5 sacks, but you're like, wait a second, it's 2025, and sacks is not the best way to measure how effective a pass rusher is. It's about generating consistent pressure and being really, really good against the run. And Jared Verse was well-versed in doing both of those things. So, yeah, I mean, last year the Rams got the Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to take a major, major leap forward in year 2, and we'll see if Terrance Ferguson can have that same level of success, because he's certainly going to get his opportunity. And I do think that, bottom line, what I do agree with Solak is he will be featured more than Higgbee probably by week 5 or 6. And I think that's going to happen early on in the season, barring an injury. So as far as how productive he's going to be and how those numbers are going to look, that depends. We know the Rams want to have some balance, too, with the run game as well with Kyren Williams. But that's something to get excited about for sure. I'm really excited to see what the Rams look like featuring a tight end, because I think that is kind of the next wave in the NFL. I think you're going to see with Laporta and just lots of athletic tight ends. It's almost like a cheat code in a sense if you can get a tight end that can make plays and block as well. But coming up next, we're looking at some UDFAs that have a chance to make this Rams roster. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so we're going to start looking at these UDFAs. It's fun to get into. You never know when a guy like this can step up, make the team. Just look at Alaric Jackson. Look at Omar Speights. It happens. It's happened with this organization many times, so it's worth getting into. First guy I want to talk about, though, is Josh Piercy out of Rice. You look at his measurables: 6'2", 238 pounds, 34 3/4 arms, 9 1/4 hands. At his pro day, a 4.99 40, a 7.43 shuttle, 4.53 cone, 36-inch vertical, 10.2 broad at 23 reps. And he spent a lot of time at Rice. He was at Rice for 6 years. He had a 4-game redshirt season. He played 54 total games with Rice, had 210 tackles, 33 TFLs, 16 sacks, had 3 passes defended. And he is a guy that did not start off as a starter, got into a special teams role, and then went all the way to being a captain. And then he was a guy that used athleticism. I mean, you look at kind of the defense they use for Rice, and he's got long legs. He was actually a sprinter in high school, and they went with a 4-2-5 defense, used him as the edge rusher. He had his hand in the dirt. He was also upright, and they also went with a 3-3-5. So, yeah, I mean, he can use an off-ball linebacker. He can use it in a more traditional sense. And I think it's going to be largely predicated on if the Rams suffer injuries. But the size, the speed, I mean, there's something there for sure. I mean, athleticism plays in the NFL. If you want to get in the NFL, have athleticism, and then they will mold you. And good coaching can take you to another level. And he also has some ability to play some off-ball linebacker. And that versatility could bode well for his chances of making it as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think for him, it starts on special teams, just like it started on special teams back at Rice, and we'll see if he can turn some heads during spring training. He's known to be a high-effort guy, Rice, so he's a smart dude. He's someone that looks like he could be developed, and those are the guys that stick with this Rams team on the roster as far as guys kind of towards the bottom. So I like that. And how about Jamil Muhammad, 6'1", 254 out of USC, 10-inch hands. He ran a 4.83 40, 7.18 shuttle, 4.47 3-cone, 25 reps. He was a guy that at USC, he transferred there in 23, and in 24, for 23 and 24, he started 22 of 26 games, 73 tackles, 12 TFL, 7.5 sacks, and he's kind of one of those guys that is on the shorter side for an NFL edge, but he's got length, and he's also extremely strong. He's got one of those low leverages that you see that really just come naturally, right? If you're not born that way, if you're not instinctively that way, it's not going to fare well for you, but he does have that, and you see highlights of him. I mean, the bull rush, spin move. I mean, there's something there. Not the best athlete. Like, he's not as good as an athlete as Pierce is, but he does have some agility, a good first step. I mean, he can kind of move with offensive players that he's trying to get to. So there's something there. He's kind of a fluid athlete too. You kind of look at that. I mean, for him, he was mainly on the short side of the field, but still, I mean, is a guy who went to SC. He has some pedigree there. He's someone that can cover pretty well for his position, above average tackler. I think for him, when you look at his tape, it's kind of the effort plays too. The effort plays you see with Pierce and just trying to go sideline to sideline and hunt that football and just constantly pursue that football. So he's another guy that's really interesting. I think for him too, he still looks like he can develop. And that's kind of what you're looking for with UDFAs is there something there that is untapped? Is there something there that you can further optimize because you're still learning the position or getting better or growing, getting stronger? And I think for him, he could add some more weight. He could get stronger. He could get better just by being around better players and better coaching. So, yeah, I think for him, he had a really good season at USC in his first season, but the second year wasn't as great. So I do think that for him, it's going to be an opportunity. I think both these guys are going to have to impress in special teams and preseason and camp and try to really turn heads from that standpoint. But that's what the Rams do. I mean, they go out there and they find guys on the scrap heap. They find guys as UDFAs, and they can mold them. And it's kind of one of those things where if the Rams have you in as a UDFA, they think there's a chance. They think there's a possibility. And I think kind of with the way this roster is built, it's a lot of established guys at certain positions. So your opportunity can be largely predicated on injuries, but still, these are some guys to know. We're going to continue to break down the UDFAs for the Rams that have a chance to make this team. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.